Hi, my name is Robert Dailey, and I am the owner of Dailey Woodworks, and this is my shop. It's now time for our 2019 shop tour. I did one of these in January 2018, and I just watched it myself, and wow, we've made a lot of changes here. We're going to start on this side of the shop. What I have is a little alcove, I guess is what I'm going to call it. It's about a 10 by 10 room, and it's both my paint booth and my storage area for the dog kennels and finished projects that are getting ready to get delivered or picked up from people. We now have my wife's craft room complete. Over there is my paint and finishing area, and then behind this is Starbucks bed that she can't really get to. Yeah, she's excited to be able to get to her bed now. One thing that I actually haven't done a video on is I have a drop-down paint booth. If you look here, I have this plastic, this really heavy plastic rolled up, and it just sits on a hook. And then I can take it down on the 4 walls and drop it down and easily create my paint booth for whenever I am doing finishing. Over, let's see, where do we want to go next? Yeah, we're just going to go back to me. Back to me. Focus on my face. They want to see my face. I don't want to see my shop. Okay.
See your ugly face?
Yeah. So we're just going to go around in a circle. One of my things that I haven't utilized well, and it kind of quit working, is I tried building like my own dry erase board and did some permanent marker to keep track of things. And basically I just need to redo it. Here is my plywood storage rack. I really like this, but I think I'm going to end up doing away with it. The great advantage of this, the way it's set up, is whenever I'm trying to, I can bring in my full 3/4 inch sheets of plywood. Then when it's time to cut them and break them down, ow! One of the things I really like currently is my plywood storage rack. We use a lot of plywood in my shop, and I stock 3/4 inch plywood, and I only use one type. That way I only have to stock one type. Offcuts go back here. 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch goes in here because it's light enough to move, but you know, 3/4 inch is kind of heavy. So we bring it into the shop. I have a panel carrier. These are great. Bring it into the shop and put it on this rack. And then when it's time to break it down, I can just let it fall here, and then without ever having to pick up the full weight of the plywood again, get it onto my workbench or pull it back, rest it on my infeed table, and run it through a table saw. And I really like that, but we're probably going to end up changing that sometime this year. My favorite addition to the shop is my new Grizzly P06 table saw. I really like this thing. It was a huge investment for the shop, but I absolutely love using it. It's great, it's wonderful, and it is the centerpiece of my shop. Coming back on this back wall, we have my oldest Polk Total Station. As you can see, this thing has been loved and abused, and has gotten a lot of use over the years. It's on its own base now that I just use to store some miscellaneous hand tools, jigs, fixtures, etc. We now have a Harbor Freight dust collection system. Very good investment. It's one of those things that I should have bought sooner for the shop, and now that I have it, I love it. Currently on this back wall is my new panel clamp. It's not mounted to the wall yet, but it's going to be eventually once we figure out the final position for it. But this allows me to glue up tabletops up to 8 foot long and over 4 foot wide, and use cauls that are angle iron to get a nice flat surface without biscuits or dowels or anything like that. This has been great because now all my glue ups happen here. They're quick and easy and painless. Coming around the shop, we have this. This has been awesome this winter. We haven't even used it this summer yet, but we had a really bad cold snap where things were down in the 20s for a few days. So we went and bought this, installed it, ran a 220 line on a dedicated circuit for it, and it makes it so much nicer to work in the shop every day. Below that we store our thickness planer. I mounted my thickness planer to an old table saw stand. So all I have to do to set up my thickness planer is roll it out and set it up, and then I plug it into my dust collector, plug it in, and I can plane all my lumber. That way when I'm done, it folds up and goes back against the wall. Next to that, I have my bandsaw on a rolling stand. I haven't used my bandsaw in a long time. It's been in storage. I've got it out of storage, and there's a few of the tires on it are dry rotted. I need to get it fixed up, but it's also on a rolling stand that needs to get remade a little bit sturdier. But kind of the same principle is this can roll out, I can use it, and then I can roll it back against the wall when I'm done. This is an improvement we did today. This is the variant of my perfectly boring workbench plans. And we decided today that this corner was finally enough was enough. We were gonna build this table, organize everything under it, drilled out dog holes in it already to have more workbench space. And the idea is, as I get benchtop tools such as this sander right here, they're just going to be mounted to a piece of plywood. You can pull them out, use the dog holes to clamp these tools down, and then when you're done, you can either move them back against the back wall, or I might even build some type of racking system for the benchtop tools that don't get everyday use. This is my miter saw station. It's again just a variant of the perfectly boring workbench plans. That was my last video right before this, and we're going to get to that in a second. My miter saw station is very simple. You'll notice I don't have a rear fence on my miter saw station because it's not needed, and it allows me to put and store tools on the back shelf here and get things out of the way and then slide them forward. So what I've done is, using a micro jig dovetail clamp, I routed the dovetail groove, and I made just a simple T out of plywood that references right here. That slides forward, that locks down, and I can get a rock solid push block and not have to worry about a rear fence taking up space for any benchtop tools or assembly that needs to happen. It basically frees up this full workbench against the wall to do what I need it to do. What I've started doing is I'll just mark with a pencil. I just actually sanded this down and recoated it with some finish. But I'll mark my common measurements for repeat cuts and just line that up with the pencil line and have that. I probably should build up this stop block a little bit better and embed a true tape measure in there. But that is my miter saw station. I have about 10 feet on that side supported, and then I have about 3.5 feet on this side of the blade supported. A friend actually gave me this organizer that we use to hold all of our screws, commonly used items, sandpapers, hardware, hinges, etc. And then of course I built all of these cabinets going across the top that is mainly just holding junk up out of the way that still needs to either be installed, purged, thrown away, and better organized. So this is my perfectly boring workbench. This is my answer to everybody's ultimate super duper ultra workbench that does everything under the sun. I looked at that, I tried to design my perfect workbench, but then I finally broke it down to what's a really simple design that anybody can make, and then I can add to it and customize it later on. Such as over there against the wall, I customized this same workbench to be a table and a permanent workbench against the wall where you can slide stuff underneath it. I customized it again to be my miter saw table, and then I have, I guess, what I call the base design, which is my assembly table, general all-purpose workbench, and I have underneath it my sanders, and it's on retractable casters so I can move it around wherever I want it. Now we're getting to my lumber rack. And this is the only original thing that was in the shop that's still here. You can see we've added insulation, etc. I still want to tear this out and then redo it, but currently it's serving its purpose and it's pretty sturdy. So I've got my different woods that I use, mainly use pine for my dog kennels that I build, have it all labeled, set up, and now I can fit all my lumber there. Scraps, offcuts go here to be utilized different ways. This is about full, so it's time to clean it all out, throw everything away, and start over again. And then of course the final part of my shop is my trailer. I just did a tour of my trailer in September of 2018. I call it the Dailey Portable Shop. This is kind of home to my tools, but as my business is changing, we're moving more and more into the shop and less using the trailer. I'm never going to get rid of this trailer. Watch next year in the 2020 shop tour, I won't have my trailer in when I've sold it. But I never plan on getting rid of my trailer. It acts as kind of a tool room where all of the tools get stored. So my shop, which is only about 450 square feet, is free to have workbenches and workstations set up and more permanent tools. So thank you for watching my January 2019 shop tour. I would appreciate it if you like, share, and subscribe to this video. If you have a question about anything, just leave it in the comments and I'll do my best to answer it. And we have a lot of fun projects coming up in 2019, including the Business of Carpentry, which is a Facebook group that's going to be about teaching people how to start their own carpentry business. I plan on doing several videos a month, including 5-minute tool reviews, trying to do at least one shop improvement a month, and then one woodworking project a month. So subscribe to the channel and we will see you later.